Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And yeah, we're back.
We're back.
Again.
Not that we went anywhere.
I mean, we did, but
No.
we did leave this room
That's true.
in between recordings, technically.
Nobody can prove it.
No. We just sit here as still as possible until the next time that we have to.
It's shutting off.
Yeah.
And then come back on.
We're robot people.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't have real friends. They're all animatronic.
I was gonna say this is some sick weird thing of Megan that she's doing. She's just like, I like it when just three people are doing a podcast in a room nearby.
Wow, that got uncomfortable. I think that's engagement. We got to move on to what we've been playing.
Yeah. We
Okay.
got a lot of it, I guess.
We do. We actually have a decent.
Everyone
amount of
has to be
games.
very engaged at this point.
Certainly.
I mean, it was. I mean, we talked about being robots.
Living in my garage.
Yeah.
For weeks at a time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's cute that you think it's only been weeks. It's actually been hundreds of years. It's just a repeating cycle.
Yeah.
She's the only person left, so it's just all.
Oh God.
Speaking of the only thing left,
Uh-huh.
I watched all that Godzilla anime last week.
How'd that go?
It was all right. It was very anime. It was
That seems right.
weird. It was less about Godzilla. But
was it more about like high school kids?
No.
Okay, good. Because I figure
Because that's a lot of anime.
that's a lot of anime. Is like
Yeah.
It's like this, but high school kids.
Mhm.
It was less like radioactive things that made the Godzilla happen, but
Mhm.
maybe there was an older Godzilla that did happen. But now it's new fictional elements that they were researching that come from points in the planet and make Red happen.
Gotcha.
And then Godzilla happened because of that.
Okay.
Very little explanation.
Seems about right.
But it was very anime. It was fine. There's definitely going to be a season 2. Definitely cliffhanger.
Did you ever watch those Godzilla, the other Godzilla anime where it was
I
like
did.
world
the movies,
size?
The movie ones, yeah, where the populations went like 25,000 years into the future, because then they were like, hey, maybe Godzilla's dead by then. No, he just got fucking bigger.
Yep.
Now that if people weren't engaged by animatronics, they're definitely engaged now by Godzilla talk. So we can jump into what we've been playing.
Yes.
We'll start, as we always do, with last week's stream. Last Friday, we streamed... wow, it has
Jaws.
I was gonna say,
Jaws.
wow, it has been a week. I did lose it. We streamed Jaws, the board game,
Yes.
For 4th of July weekend.
for 4th of July. Yeah, because
Yes.
that's when the movie takes place.
As we all know, Jaws, the Godzilla of the sea.
Correct. Big
Godzilla, also the Godzilla of the sea.
Yeah.
Jeff took on the role of Jaws.
The thankless role of Jaws.
Yes.
In this case, what was it? The Echo the Dolphin of the Jaws universe.
Yeah.
A disgruntled dolphin.
Yep.
Could be very confused for Jaws. Still killed 5 people, but if it was an actual, shark, probably would have killed a lot more.
Well, lucky for us, it wasn't.
Yeah. We had Ant join us here in the studio, and the three of us, me, Zach, and him, we took on Jeff. And as you can tell by us making fun of Jeff for being just a disgruntled dolphin, it did not go well for Jeff.
No, it did not.
In either phase.
So it's Act 1, Act 2. Act 1, you're on the island, Jaws eating people, with a little bit of pandemic movement to try and find Jaws and shoot barrels at him or her. I don't want to assume the shark's gender.
It's got to be canon somewhere, whether it's...
I think it was a female, because then her progeny hunted
Yes.
the
I
humans
think so.
from
I
land
think so.
with their psychic powers or whatever they had. Anyways, but the animatronic was named Bruce.
It was.
Yeah. And then Act 2 is you're on the orca, and Jaws is attacking the boat.
Theoretically?
Theoretically.
Okay.
Theoretically attacking the boat.
I've heard tell of times when he would attack boats. Not just sort of nub on them for a little bit and swim away.
Be completely useless over and over and over again. Mostly because it was a dolphin, not an actual,
Exactly.
not an actual Jaws.
I've heard that, like, if you're ever being attacked by a shark, you're supposed to punch it in the nose.
Yeah.
Turns out if the shark is attacking the boat and just ramming it nose first, it doesn't do anything.
Clearly.
You get them all tranked up, and then it's nice.
Yeah. So Act 1, I ate some swimmers, and then I moved, and then they shot me with a barrel, and then I didn't do anything for 3 rounds, and then they just guessed where I was and shot me with a barrel.
Yep.
Because they're like, why not? And then got me again.
Yep.
It wasn't such a random guess.
It wasn't a
kind of
random
like,
guess, but it was
we
still.
think there's a good chance that could be where
He's in
is.
one of these 2 spots, and we
Not
chose her.
even. I could have been anywhere at that point.
But we're like, you're probably the fact that on I think part of it was just like the fact that you just hadn't eaten swimmers in so long that I'm like, he's got to be chomping at the bit to get chomping on them bits. So
Yep.
it didn't. We got pretty much. Now you tell us that there are cards in the event deck that help you.
Yeah,
that's a rumor I heard.
That's a
Yeah.
rumor because
And
so
not
far
one-
it seems like it's only helps us dramatically.
Yes, by giving you each an extra action for like 3 of the 5 cards.
Yes.
Which was I think it was the only reason that you could even reach me with that 1 barrel.
Yes.
Because you got an extra action move
Correct.
to be able to get adjacent.
Well, and even like I think the first barrel, the main reason it worked out so well was I had an extra movement to be able to get over and do my fish finder, and you were like, yes, I'm adjacent to that. And then it was like, okay, well, he can't be one of the 3 adjacent, so it's a 50-50 for the other adjacent.
Yeah.
So I got ultra fucked in Act 1, and I was only able to eat 5 swimmers.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went into Act 2. And then Act 2, how many cards Jaws gets versus the crew gets is how many people got eaten in the first act.
Mm-hmm. Turns out if you get fucked in the first act, whether you're crew or shark, you're probably going to get fucked in the second act.
So you guys got like 8 equipment cards of like the 15 or 16 that are available, and you get to divvy them up. And then I got 7 cards of the, I think it was 8. I had 16 cards, but there's only 8 unique ones. There's duplicates.
Right.
And then I didn't get any of them that were the like, you get to just do extra damage cards.
Yeah.
Like ramming speed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it doubles whatever the die roll was for damage. And then you also proceeded to, at the end of the game, we investigated the deck of gear cards. You got every weapon in the deck.
Oh, yep. Every single one of them.
Yes.
Yep. It was amazing.
Yes.
And that includes both of the like the hook equipment too.
Yeah. Like 2 chums, the hook, the tranquilizer gun, the flare, the other pistol.
Yep.
I think you did get an ammo.
Mm-hmm. 1 ammo.
We had 1 ammo. Yep.
You got the scuba tank, the classic tank that you jam in the face, and then it explodes like a fucking bundle of dynamite.
Yep. We got the flare.
I said the flare.
Yeah.
Did we talk about the flare doing max damage on every turn that it rolled?
So the die is blank, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2. And you rolled the 2 and the 2 turns that it was on me.
So that's
4 of my 18 damage just with like a passive little flare.
Yes, that's 1/3 chance and 1/3 chance. That's pretty, that's pretty good rolls for that. I couldn't imagine someone getting better rolls, like better for us rolls wise.
Yeah. So the little bits that I was trying to do on, I had to use a card every turn because I was like, I'm not going to last 7 rounds against all this shit. Like I would just roll like trash. Or the one time I got like 3 die, Zach was there with a fucking trank gun, shot me in the face, and then I just rolled 1.
Yep.
I was able to destroy 1 of the 8 pieces and damage 1 of the other 7.
Correct.
And that's all I did to the boat in the end. And how you win that act as Jaws is kill all the crew members or sink the boat, and then the crew members just have to kill the shark.
Yeah, and both times that you destroyed one section and damaged the other, it caused us to fall into the water.
Yes.
And then that gets a free hit from you doing up to 2 damage.
Yes. Which I then rolled blank on both of them.
Which is a 1 in 6 on each time.
And then I did attack the boat like 5 other times.
You did.
But because you had the chum, I had to reveal one that I wasn't going to. So that gave you a 50-50. And basically every time I appeared, I was just gunned down. I put a very funny series of GIFs into our Slack.
Yeah.
That I was like, this is how Act 2 went. And it was basically just like that scene from Predator where they're just going nuts on the jungle. Rambo, MacGruber when he's firing the guns. And then the scene where this actually happened in the game. They shot the tank out of my mouth doing an extreme amount of damage. Because there wasn't anything I could do about it. Especially because I didn't get it was an accessory, so I could shake it off, but I didn't get any shake off that round. And it didn't matter whichever space I was coming up at, I was going to get fucking shot.
Yeah. It didn't help for you that it was just like the first round of cards came out and it was like fucking 3 shake-offs.
Yeah.
And then 2 rounds of no shake-offs and then a round of like 3 shake-offs. So it was like, oh, great. Well, we got the 2 from the flare. You shook off the flare, and I was like, oh, well, now I'm going to put the canister there. I'm not going to worry about you shaking that off anytime soon. So,
and, to be fair, I tried to help Jeff. I missed wide on the first shot at the canister.
It's true. I did have enough defense to where it didn't
go off.
Not that round.
No.
But yeah, then I just got shot to shit for the rest of it.
Harpoon did 6 damage with your 2 defense was 4. The flares did 4. The canister blew up with a pistol shot or something. So another
I think it was
4.
my second rifle shot.
Yeah, so it was basically 3 items did 2/3 of your health.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
and you still had plenty of weapons left
and we were not even injured at all.
Nope.
The entire time.
I did 0 damage to anyone on the boat. I took out a little bit of the nose and I damaged a little tiny bit of the middle.
Yep.
You had 13/16 of our boat health still
to go.
Yeah. I got and my die rolls were, even when I was attacking the boat with like 2+ die, it was just bad. Yeah. Because I think you need some of those like shark cards to help, because
the center parts are a lot.
For the center parts, you need 4 and if you only have 2 die on a center part, you need both 4 damage. You need both 2 damages to damage it.
Yeah.
Where the other parts, so there are cards that help with that, and I didn't get any of those. I got a lot of the reroll all your misses, but then like it was
never worth it.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I do get a reroll, but oh wait, you just killed me that round anyways. So fuck the other. I think I did kill the nose, one of the nose parts at the end.
Yeah.
So I did get a little bit.
But little bit.
Yes.
So that was Jaws.
I would just say if that was a movie, people would be like, that's sort of disappointing. That shark was not much of a threat.
Yeah, he ate some people at the start, and it was like, oh shit, there's a shark eating people. Tag it, kill it, done.
There was no real...
Was this just a documentary of just the life of people that patrol beaches?
Yeah, like the mayor was like, "Oh yeah, I'll shut everything down. That's fine. Let's just
shut down beaches."
Everything worked as it was supposed to.
Swimmers stayed in board.
Yeah. Then the shark was killed. Everyone had a good time.
Yeah.
Happy 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I like Jaws is cool.
It was a neat
game.
Yeah. I definitely agree with Boyd. I thought it worked well for the stream. It was easy to follow. It gave us a lot of time to rag on Jeff.
Yeah. I got ultimate fucked.
Well, but it's definitely one of those things where it was like, Jeff, I'm glad that you're the one that did it instead of like if Adrian, if you were the shark,
especially because I'd had such a shit day.
Yeah,
I would have been.
Mine was
real
mine
angry.
was totally fine. 1/3 of our crew wasn't just at home with like an earache.
Oh. Well, then all the better to you for having a shit day and then still taking that loss better than I would have.
Yep. I was very tired.
So that was Jaws.
I would play it again.
I would play it again, yeah. It definitely seems like it'd be a good game, that game. And I think it does a good job of playing like what you would expect a movie version, like a game version of Jaws would be. I think it does a good implementation of that.
It did really capture the movie, I thought, very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, I have played 2 games. Since I'm not on the list over there. I guess you just made your list, didn't you, Jeff?
Yeah, because And then no one. Well, Zach said things, and I just didn't write them down.
Yeah, that seems about right.
So I've played 2 games. So because we pushed the recording, if we hadn't pushed the recording, if we recorded yesterday, I would have had nothing else to talk about. I'd have been done.
We're recording on Tuesday.
Yeah,
because Monday was observed holiday.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So Monday, after we decided to push the recording, Megan and I played 2-player Spirit Island with the new Jagged Earth expansion that I got her for her birthday. We hadn't played it yet, so we punched everything, fired it up and played it. We used the 2 new map tiles that you get on it, which are like southeast and southwest, I think. And we used 2 new spirits. She was like Lure of the Deep Wilderness or something like that. Basically, she was stuck to she could only operate on inland spaces. She couldn't do coasts at all. Which is kind of the inverse of like Ocean's Grasp, which can only affect coastal and ocean spaces. And then I was like Grinning Trickster plays a joke or something like that. And mine, I ended up not really liking my spirit. I didn't have a lot of fun with the game because I got into a loop that can sometimes happen in Spirit Island where you need like 1 or 2 of your cards. So just every turn you're reclaiming. And like it costs energy for me to reclaim as the trickster. And I don't know why I thought the trickster would be fun, because 2 of the trickster's key abilities involve just drawing the top minor power off the deck and doing something with it. So it's very random and swingy. It's like
that totally seems something good for you.
Exactly. Seems like something I would love in a heavy like cooperative game. Yeah. And those almost never worked out. The couple times they did, it was funny. Like I was able to kind of just get into it a little bit of like, I'm just chaos. I think the trickster would be a really good one if you were playing like a 5 or a 6 player game to just give to somebody who wanted to be a cornball and like, okay, we're not going to be able to count on them for any real protection of the island. They're just going to do bonker shit. Because like another part of theirs is they lose energy or no, they lose their presence on the board if they clean up the blight. But they cause blight really easily. Like one of their cards has a decent chance of causing blight. Like it does a bunch of damage and things, and then you turn the top card of the deck, and if it has a fire icon, then they do more damage and fear and blight. And so they can really cause your island to spiral into sickness and death if they're left to their own devices and they don't have somebody to run around cleaning up after them. We ended up winning. We did a scenario as well, the thieving, some like Thieves of Secrets or something, where when they would explore, some of the higher level islands would get little tokens that would then race to the oceans, and if they made it, we'd lose fear because they were stealing our secrets and taking them back. So they'd be like, oh, here's the secrets of these spirits. They're not as scary anymore. But yeah, we managed to win. Megan really liked her spirit. She really liked a lot of the new stuff in the expansion. She had a lot of fun. So that was nice. I'm happy that she enjoyed it. Like I said, by the end of mine, it was like I've done the same 2 actions alternating just all game. I haven't been able to really break out of it. Then she pointed out on my board, it was like, this spirit works really well if they don't work too hard and can take their time building up. She's like, I feel like that's where you went wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's why that'd be better in a bigger game with other people to carry the slack in that early to mid game.
Right.
So, and then today I got home from work and we decided to play another round of Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition.
Yeah, it's behind you.
Expedition. Not
Mission.
Mission.
Which is the Martians' Ares mission. That's what it's called in The Martian.
Oh, okay.
It's the Ares mission. Ares 5 or 4 or whatever the fuck number it was.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we played another game of that. It took about an hour and 20 to an hour and a half, which is probably going to be the death of that game. I was really hoping with a second play, still pretty fresh, that we'd be able to get it down closer to an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like it was running long. We both scored higher than we did in our first game, but Megan scored more higher. So she instead of beating me by 1 point, she beat me by several points. I think like 12 or something.
That is several more than like 1 or 2.
Yeah,
yes,
which was frustrating because I felt like I was doing so much better in this one. Like I thought I was really going to win, and no, I did not. So, it's still nice. It gives some of the same feel of Terraforming Mars. It still does regularly leave me wishing I could just play Terraforming Mars, but it's like half the time. Even at like an hour and 20 minutes, it's like half the time of Terraforming Mars. So,
Well, if you read everyone's comments on BGG, you just aren't experienced enough with board games to cut your play times down. So a lot of the complaints have been like the game is long and it takes just as long as a regular game, and other people are like, well, you just haven't played it enough. That's why why you're taking too long. Yeah.
I mean, Megan and I definitely had trouble with the cards we got. We didn't have good heat generation, which will drag the game, but that's a problem with both versions of Terraforming Mars, since you have goals that you're having to push. If your cards aren't working towards pushing those goals, or you're not, then the game can just drag. And there's not necessarily a good way out of that loop. But yeah, so that's all I played. Zach, how about you? What'd you play?
Let's see, at game night, because you weren't there at game night.
I was not at game night.
So I played. We had some people come around that haven't been around, because it was at Westfax. So that's a brewery that is pretty,
about Colfax.
About as far west
and south
of Denver that we go for right now.
Casa Bonita.
Yeah, it is right near there.
It is directly
right
next to.
Yes.
In the same strip mall.
Yes, it is. But I had some people come and ended up playing No Thanks 3 times. Because it's definitely one of those games that I like introducing it to new, it's a game I like introducing to people, because once you play it like once, people get the hang of like how the game's supposed to work, and they're like, oh, I see how I fucked up. Let's play again.
Yeah, and it plays quick enough you can play 3
exactly.
games.
And we played with 5 people too, which is good. Like, that's a good amount of people for that game, because the cruelness of that game is, with the more people you have, the less chance the card coming to you has the right amount of tokens on it. Because I always feel like, it gets like 7 tokens on there, and you're like, it's like a 35, right? And you're like, it can go around another round, like, and then it gets, but it always feels like the perfect amount is like the person across from you, and it's just like, God damn it. And you're like, I want to wait because I want all those tokens, but then if I don't wait, then I'm like, you're just not getting enough tokens to outweigh the value of some of those cards. But it's a lot of fun. I really like it. It's a great bar game. It's a great intro game, that sort of stuff. And everybody always, we had a couple moments where it was just like somebody pushed it 1 round too long, and they're like, okay, Jeff just has to put a token down to pass, and then I'm gonna get the 20 that connects my 19 and 21, and then Jeff has to take it because he has no more tokens. And then I'm always happy at that, because it means Jeff had, you had to take some, and then also the other person couldn't connect it. So those moments are always fun in that game.
Yeah.
And then let's see, otherwise, I played a good amount of cribbage on, where was it? Sunday. Yes, Sunday on the 4th. And that one we were playing, and I was getting ridiculous hands these first like 3 rounds that we played, where it was just like my average was like 8 points a hand. And that's like double. I got so many double runs in that game.
Okay.
And
that feels like a lot.
Yeah. it was very good. And they started catching up like on the 4th and 5th round that we played. But it was, it's a great game to just shit talk and just, talk with people and just have a lot of fun that way. And then we also played 2 quick dexterity games, the Click Clack Lumberjack, which is always a lot of fun. Like a lot of those dexterity games, like I hadn't played since before COVID.
Yeah.
And so that one's always fun, and it was enjoyable watching them hit. Like, they were doing pretty well on getting all the bark, and then it was just like right towards the end, just one wrong hit, and then fucking 5 of the trunks come tumbling down, and those are the negative points in those games, and it was just like I was able to squeak out a win that way. And so yeah,
nice.
Yeah. And then Catch the Moon as well, another dexterity game about stacking ladders. It went similar to that one, but it was just a lot of fun. I always like trying to fuck over people in that game, like that, and suspend. and I understand that there is a fair chance of me getting fucked when I'm doing that, but when it works well, it feels real nice.
For sure.
Yeah.
That always reminds me of the South Park song. Where were you when the kids built the junk, where the kids were trying to get to their friend Kenny? in heaven. So they were building a tower to heaven.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And there's a really, because they needed, and it wasn't just to see their friend. It was like, Kenny knows where blank is.
Yeah, there's always some ulterior.
Yeah, it was like, we just need to know where Kenny hid blank or something like that. So we're going to go visit our friend Kenny in heaven.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what I played. What about you, Jeff?
At game night, I played Dune Imperium again, and it was fine. It was 3 new players, but 2 of them had kind of read rules beforehand, so that helped.
Okay.
And then the 4th was brand new, but that game is very easy to teach, especially to someone that has played games. Wasn't anything too dramatic in the game. I kind of like lost any and all capability to get troops in towards the end of the game.
That's unfortunate.
That seems fine.
Yeah.
You don't need troops in that game.
Yeah. I mean, I still got, at the end, I still got second place with 9. But yeah, I wasn't doing great on, I think I could have done better had I been competitive in those, but I wasn't getting the right cards in the right place. And I was trying to go for reputation because I ended up getting the end game card to where if you have like 4 or more reputation on all 4 tracks or 3 tracks, you get 1 and then 2 victory points.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Which is nice. Yeah, it was a game of Dune Imperium. Nothing too fancy. Not very many people got the allegiance things. I think we only got 3 of the 4. I ended up getting like some of the fold space things, but then I ended up not being able to use them because I ended up drawing it with like an action towards the end. And it was like, well, here's fold space. I don't have any workers left.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm just going to have to discard it. And then I never saw it again before the game even ended. The spice had built up a little in some of those spots because people weren't like really focusing on water enough.
Oh, okay.
And so they couldn't go to the spot because you need 2 water to go to the spot with the most. And so I think it ended up getting someone like 6 spice off of that one location because no one had been there for 3 months.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Oh, damn. I also ended up getting an intrigue card that was like spend 4 spice for a victory point. And I think that's how I kind of made up for some of my non-appearances in some of the end combats.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I think it was like 11, 9, 6 or 7, and 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I like Dune Imperium. It's good. It's good.
I would play it again still. I haven't played it since we streamed it as our inaugural post-COVID stream.
The green spacey area continues to have the problem of most of the spaces are useless after you get your agent and your influence or whatever the currency is called.
Yeah.
Thing. But yeah, it's a neat game.
Right on. What else?
I also played Micro Macro.
Okay, I've heard of it.
It's a game where it is a cooperative detective Where's Waldo?
Okay.
So you have a giant map. The map is probably, about this table size-ish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like 4 by 3, 5 by 3, something like that. It's very, very big. And
That's
it has
the macro part, I assume.
Yes, but it has like tiny little people and like a whole city in there. And you have cases. So each case will be like 5 to 11 cards, and it will change based on a star level difficulty, where like the 1 and 2 stars were really easy. The 3 became, a little bit more difficult, but the 4s, of which there are the most, are kind of like the most engaging ones. So we did a bunch of those. Didn't do any 5s, but it'll be something like someone got into a car accident on the east side of the city, find the car accident, and then you'll kind of set the card off to the side, and then you go to the east side, and then you're like, well, we're looking for a car accident. It does have like a picture on the card of what you're looking for, and then you will be like, there's Waldo with shot through his windshield. Yeah,
Dark.
Yeah, it's not gory or anything, but it's someone laying on their hood like through their windshield.
Oh God!
And it's very tiny, but they're all like little animal creatures, so it's probably fine.
They probably didn't have souls, so it's okay.
Yeah,
Or it's like a Wile E. Coyote situation.
yeah. No one there has souls.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it's like the next car. It's like, good, you found where the car crash was. Okay, now find out where he lives. So everything in the city is all happening at once. So you see the crash, and then you can see the detail of the car, and then you're like, oh, there's the car on that street. There's the car over here. Oh, there's him over here, and you're kind of following back in time where he is.
Gotcha.
So
and then it like meets with him, like, you know,
Like
giving
in
his daughter a goodbye hug.
Yeah,
Right before-
like having lunch with his wife.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then you can trace it back to the kid then crying and all that.
Yeah.
When you go forward in the loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes things will go forward and backward to where you're trying to find a person. Like you find where they died, and then you have to follow where they were, and maybe they ran into something, and you're like, oh, what did they witness? And then they continued on. It's like, oh, where do they live? But then you're following the other guy that he spotted, and then he goes off and hires a hitman, and then you're following the hitman, and then like, oh, well, where'd the hitman end up? Because you have the whole picture the entire time. It's
Gotcha.
just following those paths.
How big did you say it was?
Like 4x5, something like that. It's
That'd
quite
be a
big.
great game for this. We can just really like pull out and get the entire
Yeah.
size of it. That'll be great.
Yeah.
With no detail of what we're actually looking at in
Yep.
any way, shape, or form.
And then we're just like, ooh, look at this. And they're
Uh-huh.
just like,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
just pointing at a blob, but
Yeah,
it goes to this
I-
other blob, and that's what counts.
I don't think it would even be a blob. It would just be sort of black smear of outlines because it's all black and white.
Right.
Yeah, it was. We played through a couple cases. It was super neat. But with a map that big, it's kind of hard to get everyone engaged around the same spot. You kind of have to be like, well, you're on that side, so you kind of have to follow that part of the case because you're over there.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be easier if you're like all on the same side of the table, but it's so big that seeing that other like top end would be difficult. You'd have to move around. Even in the rules, they were like, you should frame this and put it on your wall. And when a guest comes over, you can just play a little case on the wall or something like that. Yeah.
Who does things like
just
that?
mounted on their wall. Yeah, it was neat. Julie immediately spilled her seltzer on it, and it's an extremely thin.
That seems about right.
It's an extremely thin
Pretty classic.
paper. It was not a lot of seltzer, but it was immediately spilled on.
Did it handle it all right?
It handled it all right.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but it is a very like this is probably sturdier than the map.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah. It is big. And then I think it has 16 cases, including the tutorial. And then there are 3 cases on the back of the box that don't have cards. It's sort of just like, here's a line
Excuse me.
and figure it out. Those are kind of like harder ones because you don't have like individual cards for them. And then there's a couple online. And I guess in the future, they'll make like another map or they'll release like more cases for this.
Okay.
There's a bunch of weird stuff in there that I want to find out. A lot of upside down crosses and like metal. Like there's this whole church area that has, I don't know, just a bunch of like Satanist metal dudes in there. And I want to find out what that fucking case is.
Yeah, that okay.
Yeah, it's neat. It is very kid friendly for
Mhm.
sure. Like that, it's very simple. We were able to solve some of these cases in like 5 minutes, if that. Some were a little more complex, but kid friendly,
There you go.
very innovative.
Cool.
It's almost like it won those Golden Geek Awards for
Almost
those
like.
categories.
Oh, that is where I remember hearing.
Yeah.
That's why that name sounded familiar to me.
Mm-hmm.
What else? You got a list.
I played some cribbage and I lost, but I scored 104.
That's good. You didn't get skunked.
I didn't get skunked.
What was your best hand?
Fuck if I know. I think I got a 12.
Okay.
I think I got a 12.
You got any double runs?
No, I don't know.
Mm.
I barely know what a double run is. Is that like a straight?
That's 2 straights.
2 straights? He
So,
got
like,
he
if-
got 2 straights.
So if you had like a 4, 4, 5, 6, that'd be a double run of 3. 'Cause
I
you'd
think
have
I did get that one.
4, 5, 6, 4, 5,
Yeah,
6.
And then you have the pair 2 6s, and then
Yep.
you have 2 15s in there as well.
Yeah.
So that's 12 points right there.
Yeah.
Jesus, this is why Zach is too
Yeah.
good at this game, because he's just immediately like,
Yeah.
And
And then
the,
if you have another 4 come out, that's a quadruple run. And that's
Oh.
also 8 4s.
There's something I learned about being
So that's 24 points.
something
on that one.
about being the knob or having the knob.
Yeah, it's the right. You have the right jack. Yeah.
You have the jack of the suit. That's
Mhm.
Yep.
yeah.
That is the 5th card. But if you just flip a jack, then the dealer gets 2 points.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Once again, I love I love that game because it's just full of like what feels like arbitrary rules. And one of my favorite things is still having someone who doesn't know how to play cribbage watch people play it without them explaining it to them, because I feel like they will know less about cribbage than when they started.
Yeah. The guy that I played against, it was the second game. The first game, it was a guy that knew the game and teaching the other guy, or they had played a little bit, but he was still fairly new. But then after the guy that was teaching finished his scoring, the other guy was like, "You missed these points," and then
Did he take them?
yeah, and then he
Oh.
was like, "Oh, and because you pointed those out, you get to take those points."
Yeah. Yeah, I usually play with I I was just like, it's up to you. If you want to have the possibility of losing points, we can play that way. Because I'm not gonna miss any numbers. So it's whether you want me to get extra points somehow.
Yes.
So but I definitely will always be with, like, unless they're new. If they're new, then I'll definitely be like, oh, you missed these. Because there's a lot of different times when there can be like 5 numbers that add up to a 15 that you don't see or something like that. Or like if they don't see that they accidentally did a run in pegging. So when I played cribbage, I did get in pegging, I did get 12 points from 4 of a kind. That was nice.
What?
Yep. We both had pairs of 4s, and so it was 4 and then 8 for 2 and then 12 for 6 and then 16 for 12.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Nice.
And I think that's all I play.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, that wraps up what we've been playing, and thus most of the board gaming content for the show. If you're really here for board games, we'll be back for news and Kickstarter.
Yes.
But we're going to take a nice little banter break.
Mm-hmm.
A BB, if you will.
Did you do anything for 4th of July?
I did, yeah. So I was trying to decide how much of like the, because like Jeff said, it's been a week. I think that was in the pre-show. I think it was before. When we were talking about like where game night was. He was like,
I was like, was that Wednesday?
That was a week ago? It's been a very long week. So I'll leave out the not exciting aspects of it. So 4th of July, yes, Megan and I went to a campground that we know of fairly near-ish to here. It's like an hour and a half drive. And it's really annoying because it's like almost exactly 60 miles. And like the first 40 miles take like 20 minutes. And then the last 20 miles take like 40 minutes. It's really obnoxious. Something like that. However, the math actually adds up. I know it didn't right there, but I don't care. About an hour and a half away. It's a nice little campsite. The coolest aspect of it is that it's about a 1.5 mile hike from the campsite up to a big ridge on the Front Range with a Firewatch tower. And it makes a really good spot to watch fireworks. Assuming you don't want to like...
What is Firewatch? No one's going to understand that reference. It's fine. It's a reference to something. I know what a Firewatch is.
Is it from the game?
It's from the game.
Yeah, I figured.
It's from the game Firewatch.
Which was good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard
Because
good
they
things.
announced Firewatch and no one ever knew what it was. So every time they would show off the game, people would ask, what is Firewatch? Because no one ever really knew.
Ah, I see.
It's a first-person story game.
It is.
what
Yes.
It is. Yeah.
So
you were playing Firewatch.
no. So we went and hiked to a Firewatch. But
Sounds less
Did you break
interesting.
into the Firewatch?
we did not.
Well,
No. So it
then
actually...
you'd really be playing Firewatch.
Then you would.
Well, there you go. So the campsite was fine. It was a little warm, and it rained on us a decent amount. We took the dog on a walk in the rain, and then we were like, this seemed like a fine plan because the rain's nice and cool. It's been kind of a hot day, except now the dog's super wet, and she takes forever to dry off. Her coat, like, it takes a little bit to get the moisture in, but then once it's in, it's locked in.
Lock it in.
Lock it in.
So,
Word of the day.
Yep.
So we hung out most, and we like there's a lot of really great climbing there. We've gone climbing at this place before, but we decided not to do any climbing. We were feeling kind of lazy, so we mostly just sat around the campsite. So Megan read, she's reading the book 4 of the Stormlight Archives, which is, I don't know, something light.
That came out
Warbreak,
somewhat recently.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it came out about a year ago, I think, at this point.
Okay.
Ish, last fall. She was reading that. I did some D&D character stuff. I did some other, light reading. I'm currently reading through Our Prison's Obsolete, which is, riveting stuff if you don't care about abolition. But then as night came, we put the dog away because she can't go all the way up to the fire tower. They don't let dogs all the way up there. And so then we hiked up there. We get all the way up there just a little after sunset, and
the war zone had started at least 3 hours before sunset. By the way.
Oh yeah. Well, because most of the
People
hike
are lighting
up,
off fireworks in the middle of the day.
Oh, yeah.
You could see like the whole way up, like as the sun was setting, and we're hiking up the up to the tower. Like it's a bunch of switchbacks, and you keep getting gaps where you could see the city, and it was just like,
yeah. Even though you couldn't see the fireworks that you were exploding,
yeah,
you were still making the noise.
And eventually we got up to the top, and that's when we learned that the Firewatch tower stairs are closed at the base. So there's like a shack where somebody lives, and they had a campfire, and then there's the sign, and we were reading the sign because it was like, oh, if you still want great views, you can go here, and we're trying to read the sign. The lady's like, it's closed to the public. Like, yeah, we see that. That's why we didn't keep going, and we're stopped here reading the sign about where else to go. And then she was like, if you're going to watch the fireworks, it's not that impressive. I watched them last year, and it was not good. It was like, okay, well, last year, none of the cities did big organized fireworks events, so that doesn't surprise us. Also, we've been here many other years, and we really enjoy it, so I don't care what you think.
You're not going to listen to what this old lady says in the middle of the...
I don't think she was old. I'm doing kind of an old lady voice.
Yeah, the voice really...
She was very crotchety.
But she was very crotchety. She was old at heart.
Oh, okay.
So we were
She was already dead inside.
Exactly. Which is what happens when you live, a mile and a half up a trail with no road access at a Firewatch tower. So we hiked back a little bit, and then we did a very sketchy scramble to get up onto some big rocks to where we were probably like 40 feet above the trail. Like the trail goes through this like bit of rocks, and we kind of scrambled up, and like Megan did not like it. She got a little, I was like, we rock climb. Like this is not hard. Come on. And then we watched fireworks, and it was great. Castle Rocks is the closest like major display that you can see. So it's the physically closest. It looks the biggest and brightest, but it's also fun to sit there and be like, well, that's Parker. There's Fort Collins. There's Golden. Some years we can see Boulder, or what we think is Boulder. And like we usually get like a list of when all the municipalities are doing their fireworks. So it's like, okay, well, it's 9:00 and there's stuff there and there. So like, okay, 9:00. Okay. All right. Well, that's Greenwood Village. Oh, and there's Arvada. And so we do that fun game. And in years past, when we get up to the actual Firewatch tower, you get a better, more closer to 180 view to where you can see like the faint flashes from Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
The way the mountains go, they kind of block it, but you can get an idea. From where we were, it was like the furthest we could see south was just Castle Rock this time. But it's cool, and we like going and doing that. You could faintly hear it sounds like artillery shelling at that distance. Like you just hear just faint boom, 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 boom. And it's just constant because you're not under like one specific fireworks thing. So that's what we did.
Nice.
And then we kind of hung out the next morning and then came home and then played board games like I talked about earlier. So that was basically it for me. I don't have any other banter things, just hanging out and watching some fireworks from a big old distance. What about you guys? How was your weekend?
Jeff?
Well, I was here on Friday, and then...
Yeah, that was about 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah. And then I kind of did some stuff on Saturday, and then I went to Aunt and Julie's Sunday, and we hung out in their backyard and watched the impressive neighborhood displays. that were quite significant in their fireworkness. And then we watched Rick and Morty.
I still need to watch that.
Do you guys have like an Adult Swim subscription that you're watching that, or is it airing somewhere that I don't know of?
So you can buy the season on Hulu, and then you'll get the episodes as they come out on Hulu.
So I feel like last season, way the shit back, they just came out on Hulu for free as it aired. Like I feel like it was.
I know they do
I don't
that-
remember ever paying for it before.
I know they do that on Adult Swim sometimes. But yeah, it's possible Hulu's like, nah, now you're paying for it, nerds.
I think that's what they did. Because the first one was free on YouTube, was where I
Yes,
watched it. And then I've been like, well, I can't watch any more of them. This is bullshit.
You can buy it on Hulu.
Okay.
And then I just sort of did some wandering around Monday. I was like, oh, well, we're not recording. I'm going to go out to D-Deli, get myself a sandwich, and then go up to
False.
Cannonball Creek, which is a favorite brewery of mine. And because they're both golden, I can do them both at the same time. But as I drove past D-Deli after driving 26 minutes out to Golden, the line was to the corner of the fucking block. It was nuts.
And it's in the center of the block, right?
It's a little towards the edge. It's only
okay.
kind of like one big store on the corner there, so it's not like it was like a long way to the block, but there was still probably 25, 30 people in line.
Out on the outside?
On the outside. Not that the inside is very big,
Yeah.
but I was like, well, guess I'm not eating there.
It does sound good, though. I haven't had that in years.
Yeah, it was probably my birthday, 2019, because we went there for my birthday,
yeah,
2019. So, which
When's
I
your
think was
birthday?
April 19th.
Okay, yeah, I still would have been doing just Lyft at that point, so
'Cause
I
I
would have
think-
had time for that.
Because I think it was the first time a lot of people had been there. Even.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I definitely need to go there in September on one of the various Jewish days off. So,
Yeah, just go before 5 because they're open 11 to 5. That's it.
yep.
Get there or be square.
Keep me posted if one of those holidays is a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and I'm off work. I still have never been to D-Deli.
D-Deli is very good.
I've heard great things.
It's great.
So then I just went to Illegal Pete's North Side and had food there. And then I went to Flight Co. and hung out there for a little bit.
I liked their space when I was in there a couple weeks back.
It's a big space. They don't have like a lot of big tables unless you're outside.
They've got a few,
But only a few.
like 5 or 6 inside.
Yeah, I didn't see really the other side of the weird airplane area in the middle that had a bunch of like smaller seating stuff.
Yeah.
And then I went to Call to Arms, and that's where I played Cribbage because it was just me, the bartender, and the packaging manager. So that was about it.
I also really like Call to Arms.
Call to Arms is good. They
Yes,
just
it is.
released their it is their ballroom beer,
Ooh.
not banquet beer, by the way.
Ah.
Yes, their ballroom beer. But they did a hopped. They basically did a hopped Coors Banquet, which I liked.
You lost me.
Well, they had the regular version too. You can just drink the regular version.
But I'm also not, I don't really care about the regular one
Coors-
either. But it didn't,
I think
I'm just saying it didn't bring me back with it being hopped.
Yeah. No.
Shockingly enough.
I mean, I think I've explained
Right.
this before. I have many coworkers whose Desert Island beer is Coors Banquet. Like brewers love fucking Coors Banquet.
That's why you didn't make it at Epic, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I also never tried to brew at Epic.
Yeah. Well, they did a super epic lager. I don't know what that was special in any way, shape, or form, but they did sure charge a lot for it when I saw it on a menu somewhere, and I was like, $8.75 for a fucking lager? What the fuck?
It's probably a pretty mediocre one.
Probably.
Probably.
They just released a chai something today. Who cares?
Cool.
I just had seen it online. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, cool, another weird beer I'm never gonna try. Nothing. Oh, we got our new Hop Freaks series at
Ooh.
Avery. So we're gonna be doing like a different like crazy hopped recipe, and it's just gonna be like Hop Freaks 1, Hop Freaks 2, Hop Freaks 3. Not for Zach. This is not for Zach. We put it on the can. Not for Zach.
Oh, perfect.
Next time they can that, or when we get the fucking cans for it, I'll make packaging put not for Zach on the bottom of the can.
Thank you.
That'd be great.
That would be great.
The entire run just says not for Zach.
and then they just spell it wrong and be like, you fucking asshole.
See, this is where I'd have to try and get him to like spite drink one, and then I could be like, dude, it's not for you. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Not for Zach's.
Not for Zach's. There you go.
There you go.
Ooh.
And then I just spent most of today recovering by working 10 hours. So,
Oof.
yeah, I was pretty hungover this morning.
What about you, Zach? How was your 4th of July weekend?
It was good. I had a friend come into town, and we went and saw a Colorado Rapids game.
Oh,
Soccer,
yeah.
Mammoth is lacrosse.
Yes.
I heard something insane about lacrosse here in Colorado.
Okay.
When the team comes out, everyone's cheering and yay, whatever. When the opposing team comes out, they shut the lights off, turn their backs to the field, and boo.
What?
Yeah, it's fucked, dude.
They shut their
hilarious.
lights off?
They
That
shut
can't
the
be
light.
legal.
They shut the lights
That cannot
off.
be legal.
Turn their backs and boo. It's fuck lacrosse. Anyways, continue.
Where do they play at?
I thought they played at Mile High.
Oh, they might.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because the Mammoth are like massive world champs in the U.S. sense of we won the national championship, and we just assume that's the world championship.
Yeah, that seems about right. No, so it was Colorado Rapids versus the Seattle Sounders, who were at that time the number 1 in the league.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've
Are
heard
they
of the
not
Sounders,
anymore?
Yes.
so that must mean that they have been important at one point or another.
Yeah.
It's also got a nice alliteration going for it.
Yes, they do.
Completely accidental.
Yes, American exceptionalism. We're great at that. We're amazing at being.
How
It's
many
the
years?
World Series,
Yeah.
man.
I
They've
mean,
got to
I
be
was
the
gonna-
best
I
in
was
the
gonna say,
world,
how many
right?
times
Yeah,
has
'cause
America
look,
won the World Series?
Look, we play against 2 Canadian teams, so that's the world, right? But that was also my first time going to Dick's Sporting Goods Park, which is good. It's 15,000.
That's the one up
capacity.
on North 25, right?
Yes,
I
yeah.
was like, I don't know where Dick's is.
Yes, it's Commerce City,
Okay.
Northfield area.
I see.
Is
Is that where the North Torchies is?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is right near there.
It's very close. Yeah.
The north one. Yep.
Yeah, they're totally not just east,
East.
the east
Yeah.
one.
No.
Well, I'm at the North Torchies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeff's still bitter about that.
No,
No,
it was Zach
it was
that got
me.
fucked.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Fucked by
right.
Paul because
Yeah.
Paul was like, "Yeah, the North Torchies." No, Paul, it's just like the Northgate shopping mall
Yeah.
Torchies.
Yeah.
Not technically
Yeah.
the North
No.
Torchies.
If we're going by directions, then it's north. But yeah.
The only longitude.
Yeah, and it was I guess it was their first game with the ability to be at full capacity again, which is cool. I would say there are maybe it was 80%. There's a lot of people there, but you definitely could see seats.
It's American soccer.
Exactly. I mean, but it was what I definitely had a good time. There were a lot of, unsurprisingly, some questionable calls by the refs that the Rapids fans did not like at all. And just everybody just booing the shit out of them. And there was one guy on the Seattle team. He was number 11. His last name was Smith or something like that.
Uh-huh.
No idea who he was. Every single time he got the ball, everybody in the stadium just immediately started booing him. So I'm like, he must be a good player then, but he didn't do that much. So I don't know.
That's how you know he gets paid a lot.
Exactly.
Right.
And also apparently our mascot is Rapids Man, and it's just supposed to be a water, a guy in what looked like a football uniform, but just water. And I was just like, okay, I guess that's a thing.
I mean, I think, wouldn't it make more sense having in a kayak or something?
I don't know. I just remember he was just standing there when they were doing the video stuff, and he was just whatever stupid stuff they do. He was not.
I feel bad for everybody listening to the podcast who does not get the visual of you doing those poses.
Exactly. No, so let's see. We had a lot of close calls. And Seattle scored in the 40th minute, but then we ended up scoring and they somehow had more possession in the first half, which didn't feel like it, but they did apparently, according to the stats. But
sure,
stats, who knows? The numbers are just numbers. They can make up anything you want.
Exactly.
There's no way to know.
No way to know. But the second half was definitely we better have had majority possession then, because we were just like, pressuring them hard, and we ended up getting one goal that was real. It was definitely a well done shot. The guy shot it, and a guy went to like block it, and his leg came down, and the ball went like right over his leg, that it just came down, and then it just went into the goal that way. And it just is always satisfying when you have little things like that. It was just like, if you didn't commit as much as you did, you might have blocked it, but nope, it just went right over. But then we ended up a tie 1-1. Okay. But it was I enjoyed myself a lot. And then they had, I guess they were retiring like their first number. Mm-hmm. I forget, couldn't tell you his name right now.
Sure.
But it was number 25.
Okay.
And so they would let people onto the field to like watch it, and then also watch the fireworks. According to Boyd, maybe one of the alternate universe Adrians is Rapids Man. Maybe
that's an awesome callback to last week's episode
yes.
too.
I mean, I will say this though: he like was taller than people, so probably not.
Oh god damn! Alternate universe Adrian might be tall.
No.
An aspect of growth has to do with childhood nutrition.
I know.
There's an alternate universe version of Adrian that was well-fed and didn't grow up in a poor white trash family eating sugar rice for breakfast.
Look, I understand that there are infinite timelines, but there is a limit. Adrian is what we're saying.
Okay. Yeah, limit Adrian's probably like 5'8", 5'9".
Okay.
Still not Rapids Man.
Still not Rapids Man style. But yes, yeah.
He's got platforms, maybe.
Yeah.
It's classic river platforms.
Yeah. So they had the scenario, or not scenario, ceremony. They had the ceremony for them retiring his number, that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. We watched it a bit, and then we're like, all right, well, they're doing fireworks after this, and like self-described the biggest fireworks display in Colorado. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you if it was that or not, but it was. I mean, so we ended up walking back to the car, and it was like, because we want to we want to watch this stuff, but then as soon as it's gone, fucking leave, because it always sucks leaving those spots.
Oh, for sure. What day was this? Was this the 4th?
This was on the 4th, yeah.
Okay.
And so, but we got to the car, and we were a little worried that maybe it was like going to be a little bit too far, like over, or like trees were going to block our view or anything like that, but they didn't, which was nice. We had great views from my car, but we were definitely close enough that like. Some of the fireworks went up, and it basically was like, did they just shoot like a flashbang up there? Because you look at it, and you're like, oh fuck, that's bright. And then
just launching flashbangs into the air.
Yeah. But I would say it felt like it was like 15, 20 minutes long.
Okay.
And every couple minutes or so, there'd be one that was particularly loud and flashbangy, and then you just hear car.
This car alarm's going off.
And then it'd stop after a while, and another couple minutes, again. And it seemed like it was the same car each time, is what it sounded like.
Probably was.
And then what I always find sort of funny about fireworks is I'm always just like you see like a steady stream, and then it increases a little bit, and you're like, oh, is this the finale? And then you're just like, no, I don't. No, but as soon as the finale starts, you're like, oh, okay, now this is the now you know. And it was...
And every year you forget, and you do that same pattern the next year.
Like, is this it? And you're like, no, like they just shoot everything off at that point. And that one was really, really well done. They shot like, smiley faces and hearts and stuff like that. But it was always funny when they'd shoot one of those up, and you're like, that clearly did not launch correctly the right way, because like the heart is just all like super like oblong and just sort of like an oval. Yeah. And you're just like, oh, that's not a heart. But then we had like, in a lot of smiley faces were like upside down, but we had one that was just like perfect in the air. And we're like, yeah, that looks good. And then when the finale was over, we left with about, I don't know, 5 cars going off at that point. But it seemed like more people had that idea that we did as well. So like, we're like, all right, we pull, and then we leave the parking, and then like go to the exit, and then just fucking cars. Everyone is just like, God damn it. So close. Yep.
Almost made it.
But yeah, that was my weekend. It was good. It was fun. I definitely would go see another game there.
Nice.
And it definitely wasn't. I liked that it was like, I don't know if I'd want to ever go see a game at Mile High or something like that, because like how many people are in that?
50.
Yeah, I'm like, that's too much. Like this one was definitely a lot more tolerable. Although we did have one woman that just really liked screaming like behind us, of just like, and And it was always a shame because I'm like, yeah, you're doing a great job. Number 9, because I don't know any of their names. It's been long enough that I didn't know any of them. And so, but she sure did. She knew everybody's name. And
good for her.
Yeah.
Glad she had a big weekend.
Yes.
She cursed them out regularly.
Oh, yeah.
I also watched Formula One.
Well,
That was Sunday. It's been a triple header. It was race 3 of 3 weeks in a row. Same guy won, which is good. Because he's not the other guy that was always winning for the last 4 years.
So now it's a different guy always winning.
Well, it's a new guy always winning.
A new always winning guy.
Yes, which everyone was wanting. So, yeah, we'll see. He did his first Grand Slam, which is get pole, then stay in first place the whole race, and get fastest lap.
Wow.
And then finish in first, which is a Grand Slam and his first.
Cool. Good for him.
Of course, it is at the Red Bull Ring, which is their home course. So they
you'd
did
expect him to be pretty good at it.
Yeah. So, but they did it for the last 2 weeks in a row, and he crushed it both weeks.
Okay.
A lot of penalties. And there was a guy that got third that probably could have gotten second, but he got a 5-second penalty for supposedly running this other dude off the course by like shoving him off, but he was passing around on the outside and hadn't passed, so he's taking the racing line. It's basically, well, you're off in the gravel because it's my fucking line here. But they gave him a 5-second penalty, and everyone's like, no, it's just racing. Probably shouldn't get penalties for these kind of things. And then got a 5-second penalty. And then another guy did it twice. The guy that got run off lost 7 places because he ran off into the gravel because it was so early in the race, everyone was tight. And then that guy did it twice more to a Ferrari guy and then ended up with 10-second penalties, which gave him like 6th place or something like that. But he's the team member of the guy that won.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, it was a race.
It was a race?
Cool.
They're in Silverstone, 2 weeks.
Nice.
Where's that?
That is in England.
Okay. Not to be confused with Silverton, which is in the mountains here.
Correct. But they're going to show off the new car at Silverstone, next year's car, what it will look like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Because it's going to be weird. It's going to look fucked.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll see.
Well, that's it for banter.
Yeah.
We're gonna call that. Real quick before we move on to news and Kickstarters, is there any word on a return of either Bloody Minute or Kingdom Death Hour?
So I think Blood Bowl in person will start up at the end of this month.
Are you gonna do it?
I want to. Yeah. It's not very many people. I think we only have like 8 or 9, so it should be a pretty quick season. And we're going to use the new rules.
Ooh.
So there's going to be some new learning things.
Okay.
But there's not a website like we had for our old league to track everything.
Yeah.
Because of the new rules and the way that skills work and stuff in there, where you can kind of like choose skills. There's no one's done anything about it yet. So we might just have to turn it into like an Excel
Spreadsheet?
sheet. Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Spreadsheet out the season.
Okay.
And that may have kicked Paul out of wanting to do the season.
That seems right.
Yep, not surprised.
But he does that for work. Like, why wouldn't he want to do that on his own free
For
time?
fun,
too?
yeah. The things you do for work are usually the things you want to do for fun, right?
Yes, that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I love just looking at numbers, just a giant sheet of just random numbers. That's what I like doing.
We haven't had any.
He likes drinking, so yeah.
We haven't had any Sunday games in a while, mostly because Paul, Zach, and I did our Thursday Jime games, and that kind of was the same group, sort of just on a different day.
Sure.
But we will be getting that back sometime soon, I think, because Paul's wanting to get some. I mean, we're pretty close to the end of a lot of those campaigns, so
yeah.
We should probably get those done.
Cool.
And then more Jime will be coming
Fan.
because Ant and Julie have chosen their class and characters.
What did they choose?
They went with Barivore. She was the Lady Ranger, the Lady Aragorn. And Ant went Bilbo.
Nice.
Yeah. And I went Balin.
Okay.
So we've of all 3 new characters so far.
Okay.
And I look forward to Paul just pulling fucking Legolas out
Yeah.
and be like, I'm gonna just play Legolas again.
Did one of them choose a range, like hit the bow like class or whatever it's called? Whatever Legolas's class was?
Oh, no. I think we've all done our like recommended
Gotcha.
classes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, on that note, I think we're ready to move on to some news and Kickstarters.
First up in news, Pandemic, Hot Zone, the best name you could possibly imagine. Nothing could possibly go wrong with this name, but they're coming out with the Europe version.
I'm very confused about...
Pandemic Hot Zone was released, let's say, March 2020.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe it was set in North America. Maybe it wasn't the best timing.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I don't think they planned for that. So anyhow, the follow-up to Hot Zone North America, Hot Zone Europe has been announced. It's going to release later this month. It's going to cost $20. You can pre-order it now over at Z-Man Games. And so this basically just continues the Hot Zone version of Pandemic, which is like a scaled down, faster version. So you're finding cures for 3 diseases. It's continent size, not worldwide, so it's a little bit of a smaller map. Some of the routes and things are quite a bit different. There's new characters in this one from the original new characters in North America. And this adds a new mutation module that adds a layer of challenge to curing diseases that you kind of have to work together to overcome. Very much about teamwork and cooperation, kind of like Pandemic in general. The big thing, and this was kind of expected, but they did officially confirm it, these are cross-compatible, so you can combine them to make larger, more challenging games. So they have Hot Zone North America, and then they'll have Hot Zone Europe, and after they get South America and Africa and Middle East and Asia and Australia and Pacific Islands, you can combine all of them into the biggest game of just regular Pandemic ever. And
There's
I'm
a lot,
sure it'll be
a lot
great.
more cities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot of other information.
I forgot it was only like $20 for the game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
it's very cheap.
super light, streamlined versions of Pandemic. So,
If you want Pandemic in
like an hour.
a small size.
Yep.
Oh, I've played games of Pandemic that were only like 5 or 10 minutes long. So
Sometimes you lose on like the third card draw.
I've also played games of Pandemic that were,
Days,
well,
basically.
25
Felt
feet
like it.
wide.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
also
Oh, yeah. Pand Epic.
Yes.
So that's the first bit of news. Keep an eye out. If you're interested, go pre-order it. Pandemic Hot Zone Europe.
I'm sure it'll be at a Target near you.
Indeed. Next up on news.
Portal is releasing their own Dune game.
No, wrong Portal thing.
Portal Games gets Dune?
Yeah.
but that's a different Portal games.
Portal is twice on our list today.
Oh, I see. So what's this one?
$1 Million Script.
Yeah, that is next up on news.
All right, Jeff, give us a rundown on how it works.
I was just talking to the side of the mic as
tell me when to scroll. So $1 Million Script, you can pre-order it now. It's €13. It's going to be released in August. And basically this is a new party game, 3 to 10 people, where you are playing as a team of writers working together, competing with each other, kind of, to release the next box office blockbuster. And basically, you get one of the players in the group is the producer, and they're going to evaluate the two teams to decide who puts together the better script. So you have to have, there's 2 main goals. You have to check all of the boxes for what the producer's looking for in a script, and then it has to earn the most money. So you're both kind of competing in that regard. There's a whole bunch of different cards that kind of make up what your script is, like character cards and plot cards and things like that are all mixed in there. And producer's going to ask questions about your film, and you have to give satisfactory answers, and then eventually they'll pick one. It sounds a lot like it's going to be like kind of like Snake Oil.
So Pitch Storm, right, is a lot like Snake Oil.
Yeah.
And that it's you're pitching. So this one is a lot more structured.
Okay.
So I did watch a video.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did watch
Well,
it. Yeah.
Explain
yeah.
where I'm wrong.
Okay, so it takes place over 5 rounds, and you what happens is like not director, the producer, the executive, draws a card and it says like it has like some prompts of like, hey, we're trying, you're trying to pitch a movie over 5 different rounds. And the first one is like the card that I saw, it was like you're setting up a hero and a villain. So you draw like 3 of the hero cards and they have like 3 different he's eating his beard and it was distracting.
I mean, I'm not eating my
That would
beard.
be very distracting if someone started just eating their beard.
It's not eating. It's just
I was just talking. He's
just cutting pieces off and just eating hair.
We can take a break if you need to get a food or something real quick.
right before you guys got here. It's like a weird habit of mine when the beard's long to just sometimes.
No, I get it. That's one reason why I don't like having a long
Yes. It's not eating, it's just chewing.
Mm-hmm. But
it's like bubble gum.
Yeah. So the first card is like here, we're trying to establish a hero and then establish a villain. And you're drawing 3 of the villain cards, and like each of them has like who they are, like where they start, a list of who they are depending on which genre you're doing, because there's like 6 different genres that you can start off with, like blockbuster, but then there's like crime, crime thriller or comedy or action adventure, that sort of stuff. But the person and then sort of what like a characteristic of them.
Sure.
But then each of the cards has like 2 questions on it. So that one was just like why is the hero here? And then what's the bad event that happened that sort of started out the inciting incident?
Because the movie needed to happen.
Exactly. And then each team has a like 30-minute or 30 seconds. No, 3 minutes. That was it.
3 minutes.
3 minutes to sort of plan with each other on how they want to pitch the movie, and then or pitch that part of the movie, and then they pitch it to, when they're done, they pitch it to the executive, and then there are 4 cards that get dealt out. So if you're playing a team of 4 people, each one would get 1. And 1 is like the general narrative. So like they were narrating everything and sort of being the main person that pitches. Another person is like quotes. So like they'll try and come up with a couple quotes during the like to like, or like what the people are thinking.
One-liners or
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Another one is like sound effects. So it's like sound effects or music, or like what kind of music would be playing. And then the other one was special effects. I don't know, something like that. Some sort of like ambiance sort of thing.
Yeah.
And like the narrative person who's like, you could like the team captain of that little group can like pitch it to the other people. And they can give stuff, or they can, pipe in with whatever stuff they want. And then the executive can ask them some follow-up questions that they want, but then they go with the other person and then, or the other team, and then they get a chance of doing it. And then the executive chooses which one they want. That team gets like 4 points, but then the other team, if they had like a really good like character in there or something that they wanted to actually include in the overall pitch, they get points. Up to 3. So you could be like, it's like, oh, you guys get 4 points, but like your narration and like your sound effects were like fucking on key. I want to include that in here, and you guys get 3 points. Okay. Something like that. And then you basically do that 5 times. I don't know what the other, I watched like how to play video, and it explained that. And then he's just like, all right, do it 4 more times. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what any of the cards say otherwise. Like one was like introducing a sidekick or something, but it's just more about resolving the plot. And then at the end of the game, it's just whoever has the most points wins. Cool. But it came across to me as a bit like, that seems like just a lot of shit going on in that game.
I could see that. That sounds, as you explained it sounded like, especially everybody having like specific roles and stuff.
I was like, it sounds cool as a party game because like Pitstorm's a lot of fun, but then you're just like, man, that's a lot. It's just, it's one of those games that just seems like they add way too much in there, and then it just becomes like a party game. You don't want it to be too mechanical. No. Or just too many parts that people are just like, oh, what do I do in this? I don't know. So it seemed like it could be cool, but also it, once again, just seems like
it might be one of those where it's like, all right, we're going to throw out like 80% of the actual rules and just do the fun part of this.
Yeah.
Right on. Next up is news. Still with Portal games.
Oh, we have a second Portal games?
Yeah. Oh, segues.
Yes. Portal Games is releasing a Dune-themed detective, whatever their game was.
Detective.
Yeah. I thought it had like a subtitle in there.
It might.
But they're making a Dune one, and it's got all the characters you love from the film that was supposed to come out last year.
Yep. So this last bit of the news is the Dune segment, because Dune is the new, Mars as far as board game themes.
Legendary licensed out the shit out of
They
Dune.
sure fucking did, because these are all like official Dune things that we're going to be talking about here for the end of this. So yeah, like Jeff said, this one's based on the detective series. I really like, we were joking about this, it's little subtitles. You can't super see it because it's tiny on the website.
House Secrets.
Yeah, and even smaller below that, an original tabletop game from Portal Games. It's original in that they took the base gameplay from one of their games, and they took an existing theme, and they combined those into something that didn't exist before, separate. I don't know, calling it original seems a stretch, but anyhow, it's based on the detective series. It's a cooperative, story-driven type game. You are basically part of the Resistance, fighting against House Harkonnen. It's all inspired by the blockbuster film, but it's an original adventure. You're gonna have to do a series of missions, and ultimately try and figure everything out. Currently, it has a introductory prologue that's kind of like a little tutorial, and then 3 chapters that you go through, and that tells your whole story there. If you've played Detective, then you probably have a vague idea of how these play. None of us have, so take that with a grain of salt. I don't think you can play as a sandworm in this one, which is something Boyd was very interested in. But yeah, I don't know. The art is cool for it. I don't know.
And it was Detective, a modern crime board game. That's what I was thinking. But it uses the Detective Engine.
There you go. Detective Engine. And this goes up for pre-order in 6 days from time of recording, which would be July 12th. So whenever you're listening to this, if it is before July 12th, you can go pre-order this on July 12th when that rolls around. If it's after July 12th, you can go pre-order immediately. So, go do that if that sounds interesting to you. If you are really into Dune, you can have Dune Imperium, you can have Dune House Secrets, and then for last up on news, you can have
Gale Force 9 Dune. The people that made that new version of Dune?
Like 2 years ago?
This is a new version of that Dune.
Yeah.
It is that game.
But
new. I would call it a second edition.
Yeah, so I feel like the 2019 version was like the reprint with like a little bit of updated art and assets.
Yeah.
This is like a version 2.0, like reworked version. So this one is Dune, a game of conquest and diplomacy, like Jeff said, coming from Gale Force 9.
But they do specify this is not just a reskin in the new Dune license.
Correct.
It is a new game.
Yeah. Which
new game
built on the bones of the 40-year-old game. Like the original Dune came out in 1980-ish, like way back.
I thought it was 70-ish.
It might have been. It was on that top 100 list that I showed.
Yes.
Top 10 from 100 years. I just didn't remember when it was. But anyway, they re-released it in 2019. Now for this one, they have done a complete redesign of the main board. They've updated the look and feel, which is really just the art and graphic design, more to reflect the upcoming film. There's more spice.
1979.
So 42 years. They've streamlined the rules. They have an all-new market deck that lets you purchase different in-game advantages. They've also added a new 2-player mode that is just specifically for 2 players. Which makes it even more accessible. They also, for all player counts, seem to have shrunk the time, so it's a little bit more accessible and easier to play on a more casual game night. And so, yeah, they even say here, they include the phrase, it does not replace the original classic Dune, but sits next to it in the cabinet / on the shelf. So, they want you to have Dune and Dune, a game of conquest and diplomacy, just paired up nicely together.
Yep.
This one, you're taking control of one of the 4 main factions in the whole Dune world. Atreides, Harkonnen, Freeman, and Imperium. You're trying to control spice, and you're fighting over different parts of the planet and doing all of the normal Dune-y things that you do in Dune.
Yep.
So, And that is expected to release in September of 2021.
Little known fact, Dune is the Godzilla of board games.
Is that just that it's everywhere?
Yes.
Okay. That's it for news.
That's it for news. We move on to Kickstarters now.
Indeed we do.
Our first Kickstarter is Distilled. Very well funded, $100,000 of its $18,000 goal. There are over 1,300 backers. About 3 weeks left to pledge this one, which can at its most popular deluxe pledge level of $85.
Indeed. So this is a game for 1 to 4 players. It takes about 30 minutes per player, and you are working as distilleries making hard liquor. So, I've seen a bunch of brewery games. Now we got a distillery game. Basically, it's going to play out
Maybe
over...
this one will be good.
It may be. Maybe. It plays out over 7 rounds, each round consisting of 4 phases. First, you're going to acquire goods in the market phase, which are just basically all your different ingredients, types of like aging barrels, stuff like that. You then craft all that alcohol in the distilling phase by taking whatever ingredients make your liquor. You're going to shuffle them all together, and then you take the top and the bottom ones off the deck. Because that's like part of the distilling process, and those go back into your ingredients because you can further use them. I don't really understand where they're going with that. But the ones that you have remaining, they're going to go, you put them into a type of barrel, and you start to age them. The longer you age them, they start to get additional qualities. And then eventually the age phase, you can just let them continue to sit and get those additional qualities by drawing off of the aging deck, I think they called it, face down flavor card for every round that you age them, and eventually you can sell them, and based on all of the different ingredients and types of barrel and amount of flavors and all of those things will determine how much points and money you earn, and ultimately at the end of the game, whoever has the most points is going to be the winner. You can get points from other things like awards and secret goals, stuff like that. So I don't know, this one, it looks kind of interesting, but also, although a lot of the review quips are like, oh, this really captures like distilling, it's like, I feel like you've never distilled before, because like the shuffling the deck up and just randomly taking ingredients out to represent things you've distilled out of it and stuff like that doesn't, and like part of it seems like you look at the deck you've made and then you're like, oh, well, today we made a rum. And I don't feel like normally when people set out to distill liquor, they're like, we have no idea what liquor we're going to end up with. Oh, today we got a rum? Maybe tomorrow we'll get a vodka. Like that. So and you got to abstract things to make a game, but who knows whether it'll actually be like truly good.
Well, you could right now by playing it on Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia.
Sure. Easily one of the best things to come out of the pandemic is that so many games are on digital platforms now.
Yeah.
Try it before you buy it.
There's even a print and play demo, kind of.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shipping is not the best, but not the worst. $15 to $20 for the original versus signature for a lot of places, all the way up to $70 or $80. Looks like across the board, the signature blend version of it adds $5 to $10 to your shipping. It is so weird that like the EU is like $25 to $30, unless it's Norway or Switzerland, in which case they're each, an extra $5 to $10. Also, Alaska and Hawaii get fucked.
Yeah, they do.
They always do.
Yeah. So yeah, that is Distilled.
I do like that they have representation of like international distillers.
Yes.
It's not all just, the Irish or the Scots or
Kentucky.
Or Kentucky. Yeah. And a lot of their expansions are like distillers from across the world, not just your traditional whiskey, vodka stuff.
Indeed.
Which is neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had all kinds of cool art. I like the art and graphic design on this one a fair amount. I just am not sure whether I would actually enjoy the gameplay.
Well,
I don't know. I probably won't.
There's only one way to find out. You can pledge right now. It's $85. It's right there.
I'm also not going to do that.
No.
Yeah.
And
Distillery.
It's only a scant, $9-8 8 months away. So
yeah, there you go. Right around the corner, basically. That's Distilled. Go check it out.
Last up on Kickstarter, we have Escape from the Asylum. Very well funded, $55,000 of its $5,000 goal, over 1,000 backers, a little bit less than 2 weeks to pledge this one, which you can for $54 at its most popular level.
Yeah. So this is a cooperative escape room style board game for 1 to 6 players. And because this is the very top thing on the Kickstarter, I feel inclined to tell you, you can buy it with Dogecoin. Just they put that at the very top. Like story, looking to back with Dogecoin,
or other crypto.
But yes. Anyhow, 1 to however many players, 1 to 6 officially, but I think you can. It's one of those story games you can play with more. I would just dilute it. 60 minutes per story. And this you may have had a chance to play because it has been released in a bunch of different non-English versions, like Russian, German, French, Spanish, Italian, Japanese, Korean, and Chinese. So basically everything but English. But this Kickstarter is bringing an English edition, and basically it's an escape game where you're escaping from the asylum. Fully cooperative. It plays out over 2 parts. Each of those 2 parts is divided into 5 of those hour-long stories. So you're getting about 10 hours of gameplay in this
Per box.
per
box?
per pledge.
Part 1, part 2?
Yeah, so they show like on the it's got this big sleeve. It's got 1 and 2.
Okay.
And that's part 1 and part 2.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe they have some other expansions that I missed, but
yeah, 10 stories, 10 hours.
Indeed.
Yeah. Tom Vassals loves it.
Yep. And apparently people who have played the already out there versions are very positive on it as an escape room style game. So yeah, I don't know. It's an escape room game. You're gonna go through and you're gonna try and solve puzzles and different things and try not to cut up the wrong cards.
No,
like
just give me the scissors.
Yeah.
Give me the pieces and the scissors. That's all I need. I'll solve every one of these with scissors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Exit games, I had opened. They recently sold some of the bigger version, like bigger ones, like that had multiple adventures in it, and it said like contains 4 puzzles in there. So I was expecting it to be that. I opened it up, and there were like 4 like puzzles, like puzzles.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck? How does this work? So I'm gonna probably try that this week at some point.
okay.
But I was just like, I was not. It's one of those things of it's like, dead dove. Don't. It's just like
Dead dove don't open.
don't open, and you're like, I mean, I wasn't. Yeah, you're right, 100% right. There are 4 puzzles in here. It's just, and it even said it with a puzzle piece, like it was outlined in a puzzle piece. But I was like,
It's not
that. And then I open it up and like, oh, it is.
The Kickstarter here does say like that they are trying not to go too much into the rules. It's only 4 pages for the rule books, really simple rules, but the more you go into the rules, the more you might give away gameplay.
Right.
So I'm going to use that as my excuse for not going more in depth on how you actually play this game, because that's the excuse they use to not tell us how to play the game on the Kickstarter. So they also like don't show all the components because they say they can't. It'll spoil the game. There's a bunch of different reviews and how to plays and things like that. You can actually look at the 4-page rulebook through the Kickstarter. They have a link, so you can go check that out if you want to. And then they do have a few full spoiler walkthrough videos if you want to risk those kinds of things, like full spoilers. Yeah, that's Escape from the Asylum.
And that's it for Kickstarter.
Indeed, it is. And we can move on to some listener feedback, because we actually have listener feedback. It's been a little while.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com, where you can send an email in like this wonderful person. I'm going to be reading this for a while, so buckle in, kids.
This is a long one.
This is from Paul. Paul, not that Paul. This one's probably like a better Paul.
Almost certainly.
Almost certainly. I'm just a fan, just doing just their part, just sending just an email.
Perfect.
I also add too many justs into any sentence I am typing out on anything and try to cut out as many justs as possible.
My brother's name is Justin.
Great. Thanks,
You somehow added negative amounts to that.
Yeah.
Like,
thank you for your negative content. Paul continues. I'm finally up to date with MHGG after not listening during the entire pandemic. Don't worry, we barely tried. Normally, I listened to these episodes while I was at my job doing job things I thought I would be doing for that year, but the funniest thing happened.
Funniest thing.
It's very good. I actually rewatched that this last week.
I know.
It's so good.
I listen to it all the time.
Yep. Before I was doing overnight warehouse work where I can just jam out episodes during an 8-hour shift, lifting boxes all night, throwing 100-pound boxes onto shelves, while listening to you guys talking about Kingdom Deathy stuff for an hour. Now that people are getting vaccinated and coming out of hibernation, I started listening to podcasts again to listen to all the hot board game news and Kickstarters I've been missing out on. As for games played during the first 3 months of 2020, then 12-ish months of a pandemic, I'm shocked to say that games were still actually played. They were almost exclusively online, but played nonetheless. By far, the best thing that came out of the year was the explosion of games added to BoardGameArena.com and figuring out how to actually find content on Tabletop Simulator. Tabletop Simulator actually inspired me to learn how to add those neat buttons and scripts to automatically do stuff. It's honestly a pain in the ass to do, and some enterprising person could solicit publishers to let them make fully scripted versions of games and make a very cool dollar off of it.
Wouldn't be surprised if someone already has.
I'm sure.
Some of those publisher versions are damn good.
Yes. What's even crazier is that even though in-person gaming pretty much stopped, my purchases of board games did not. Are you me? I have a problem, and admitting it is the first step. Over the pandemic, I bought way too many games, but legitimately, the best game I purchased was Smartphone Inc., and it's not even close.
I hear really good things.
It gives me food chain magnate vibes, a good thing. Not those were his words, not mine. Playing it
also Jeff's words.
Yeah.
But weirdly, all of that was Paul's words.
Playing it literally kickstarted my desire to play games more in person. The game feels so cutthroat because there's a perfect information and you can play exactly what people are capable of exactly what people are capable of doing. So you start planning entire rounds like Food Chain Magnate where you are planning your fallback employees just in case someone puts down the radio instead of playing all their pricing managers. Not as cutthroat as Fresh Fish, though. You at least get to play the game while you lose in Smartphone Inc. My worst purchase was Tellstones. God, that game is so fucking bad. LOL. Worst $35 game I own, and that is a fact.
I've never heard of Tellstones, so that does not surprise me.
Yes. The entire reason for this email, a confession. I'm not proud of it. I feel bad even bringing it up, and I completely forgot that I had gotten a new credit card over the pandemic, and I never updated the card on Patreon. That said, I think it's safe to say that I am once again enjoying your content you guys provide, even after my many years of listening, so I am re-upping my pledge to $1 for the month of July. I hope you guys can split a nice can of pop. Thanks, folks. P.S. I miss Kingdom Deathy story time. That was my favorite part.
Kingdom Deathy story timey.
Story timey.
I do like how it says can of pop because if he's just like just like a bottle, it's like, oh, that's the $1 is not going to get you that.
I mean, you can get like our best bet would be to go and get like a fountain soda from a gas station for like 89 cents for a 20 ounce.
Chug it in the parking lot, hand the soda off, go back in, refill. They'll probably let you refill at the 7-Eleven, right?
Sure.
Surely. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we just get the really big one, like the multi-liter soda. And then we can just take 3 straws and then we can just drink out of it at the same time.
Perfect.
Just like the 33 cents we will be splitting each way for $1.
$1.
Yes.
And we'll be in a triangular pattern around it, just locking eyes.
Lock it in.
Yep.
I will be looking at one of Adrian's eyes and one of Jeff's eyes. He will be looking at one of mine and one of yours.
Left eyes will be looking at right eyes.
Yep.
All the way around. Yep. That wraps up listener feedback. which Jesus, I broke hard. That wraps up listener feedback, which if you want to participate in listener feedback, there's a bunch of different ways to get a hold of us. You can be like Paul and send us an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com. I always kind of wonder how many people just write email at milehighgameguys.com and not emails at milehighgameguys.com. How many?
Send?
Well, I guess you would probably get a return to sender unless someone made email at milehighgameguys.com.
And they're just hoarding.
They're just hoarding our content.
Goddamn bastards. It's emails. With an S.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can also find us over on Twitter, where I tweet under at MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I'm Jeff_MHGG.
We have an Instagram account at MHGameGuys. We have a Facebook page at MHGameGuys/MHGameGuys, whatever Facebook does. For website, go to punchboardmedia.com and search for MHGG or Mile High Game Guys over there, and you can find all of our episode posts with links to things like our Slack channel, where you can come join in all kinds of ridiculous bantery chit chat. You know, you can see all of Boyd's card pictures. I feel like we made fun of him for that last week. I need better material.
You can see all of the GIFs I posted about how much Jaws died.
Yeah, you could see the beautiful GIF that Jeff did of how last Friday's stream went.
Yes. This is how Act 2 went.
Yeah. You can also find a link
if it bleeds, we can kill it.
You can find a link to our BGG guild number 2731, where Zach is again posting episode posts, stream posts, where you can comment feedback for the episode or thoughts on the game we're going to stream, things like that. There is still a Q&A thread up there that we have not done a Q&A episode over. So if you have any questions that you'd like to hear in a future Q&A episode, jump over there and leave us a question. And lastly, but not leastly.
Yeah, lastly, but not leastly.
Wow, when you add things to words, it breaks phrases.
Shocking.
Yeah, maybe don't do that.
Yeah, last but not least, you can follow us and or subscribe to us over on twitch.tv/MHGameGuys, where we do our Friday board game streams, live plays, things of that nature on Mondays and or Tuesdays and or whatever day we record. You can catch a behind the scenes look and give us shit in chat like Bob and Boyd and a couple other people did on this episode. Yeah, bunch of different ways to
and that was Boston Paul. That's which one.
Boston Paul.
The old Boston Paul.
But
I bet he doesn't have to spend $26 on a fucking lobster roll.
Probably.
I don't know, he might. He also might know where to go to not spend.
Well, it's not Denver. That's for sure.
It's not Denver.
Yeah. Because then you're spending $26 on a fucking lobster roll.
Yes, you are.
And it's very delicious. But
where are you even talking about?
What is it
Main
called?
Shack.
Main Shack.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think Boston. I think lobster roll, and I just don't want to eat. I just want to eat lobster rolls all the time. But I can't spend $26 per lobster roll.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some sort of deal. You can, like, if you buy 6 of them, that'll only be like $25 each.
Yeah.
So
get whatever, a 26th off your off your purchase.
Yeah. It's $5.
Indeed.
You know what that is? That's like a fifth of a lobster roll.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
That's like a half a banana.
Yeah. Exactly.
Killing me. Anyhow, if you would like to support the show, we no longer have a sponsor. We moved on from that shenanigans. We are now sponsored by you, the listeners. And you could be like Paul, who in his email said, like, hey, my card expired. I'm going to re-up for $1, which he did. And then immediately edited it to $12.
So that's probably the 12 months that he just listened to. So it's $1 a month up front, and then he's going back to $1.
Yeah, he goes back to the $1, then we'll rip into him again. But like as of right now, it's catch up. So I can respect that.
Yeah.
So
and this solidifies that he's better than our Paul.
Oh, I mean, duh.
Yeah. Everyone.
I mean, Paul mostly funded the existence of Kingdomy Deathy Time, so, you know.
Yeah.
Your favorite part is Paul's purchase.
Yeah.
But it's really Thursby. It's really Thursby because we use his minis. Yeah. I don't think Paul has even touched his minis.
No,
I've touched Paul's minis more than he has.
That's a phrase.
That's a phrase. But it's in the same vein that Adrian had to buy Galaxy Trucker in order for me to be like, oh, I like Galaxy Trucker. Let me buy this awesome edition for us to have played Thursby's Kingdom Death. And then Paul going, oh, I like this game. Let me buy everything for it.
Thanks for reminding
You're
me
welcome.
of that, buddy.
Remember, I told you that's what I was just like, I just need to play it. And then if I like it, I'm going to get everything.
I know you did.
Yeah.
You warned me.
I did.
That's it for the show. Thanks, Paul, for the email and the increased pledge over on patreon.com/milehighgameguys.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks all of our other patrons over there for continuing to support the show. And thanks for everybody who listens to the show, who sends us, emails occasionally or YouTube comments, like Paulo used to. And then everybody who's active in our Slack channel. The fans give us the wherewithal to keep going. It's really, really what this is. That and our hate for each other. I feel like
mostly the rabid hate.
I get to rip into somebody for something on a Monday or a Tuesday.
And then these people hear it at some point during the week later than that.
I know. And it's just all so vague and amorphous.
Exactly.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for listening. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm giant lizard monster, Jeff.
Bye.
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 Punchboard Media, where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.